we're here to tell you about some never before seen, tasted, or heard of wines before. We're introducing to you the new fall case release for our Reserve Cru members. And we've got, so I think, some really fun stuff.
I'm really excited to share this case with you guys and have you taste it and share your thoughts with us.
Yeah, it was fun putting this together. So the way we put this case together is Greg, myself, and Kathy, our wine club concierge lead. We kind of sit around and we look for wines in a current vintage or a vintage to be released, or even some of our library wines. We want to put some things together that will be just amazing and also tell a story. So that was a couple fun little meetings we had trying to figure out what the perfect wines were.
Sure was. They were tasty meetings, that's for sure.
Tasty meetings, I like that.
Like tasting
wine. Yeah, I got it. I get it. Okay, so we're gonna kick you off with we've got 7 wines we're introducing in this. So most of the wines you'll have 2 bottles of, and a couple of them only 1 bottle, but it will equal a case of wine. I want to reintroduce to you Punctual. That's one of the wines that will be in the case. You'll get 2 bottles of the Punctual, which is a fan favorite. It's a club favorite. It's a lot of Cabernet Franc and a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon. And then I want to introduce you to the first ever EstateWine. This wine is phenomenal.
Yep.
Very similar to the Punctual in that it has Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon about equal parts, but it is phenomenal. And the name actually comes from you, because when we would tell our story of knocking on doors, our club members and fans would go, wow, you are persistent. So we thought, you know what, we're going to use the word that our club members are giving us for our first ever estate wine. So this wine is named Persistent, and there are 2 bottles of that wine in the Case Club.
Yeah, Shay and I, we babied that particular wine because it was our first harvest from our very own baby grapes, is what we always said. So it got a lot of new French oak. It's almost 100% new French oak. So you'll get a real big fresh fruit, caramel on the finish. And speaking of a lot of new French oak and never seen before wine, this is Obelisko Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon. So this vineyard is a very well-established vineyard down on Sunset Road. It's right past Hedges, kind of on the north side of Red Mountain. It was 2020. It was that crazy year, and Shay and I, we stumbled into an opportunity to get a little bit of these grapes from a very sought-after vineyard, and we are super excited how this turned out. This is another 100% varietal cab that we made here for 2020. All new French oak on this guy because it's only 5 barrels. And it is just delicious. It's like super dark fruit, super dark, fresh, dark fruit, and just like caramel on the finish is what I get. It is a fun wine to have on its own or with like your favorite steak dinner.
This wine too was one that we premiered to our Reserve Cru members. So for Case Club members, we have 2 exclusive events for you. One of them being an event we call the New Vintage Preview, where we share all of the brand new wines from a vintage before they're ever released. And that Obelisko Cab and the Persistent were 2 of the favorites of that. So it's fun to finally get to release that.
Yeah. Off to a couple of my favorites. This is the 2020 Merlot. So this is all Merlot grapes from Scootney Flats Vineyard, which is really close to our winery here and tasting room. And then it's also some Quintessence Vineyard Merlot, which is up on the eastern ridge of Red Mountain. So, I mean, the Merlot's out here on Red Mountain. We got the heat, so the Merlot fruit gets super ripe. It's soft, but fruity, bold, and just a nice wine to drink on its own or with your favorite bacon cheeseburger. And Kathy, she's not here today, but she picked this one out for you guys. She went deep into the catacombs, as she says, and she picked this out to share with you. So it's 1 bottle from our reserve, from our library, and it is the very last vineyard designate Merlot that we made here since going to just the Red Mountain. So this is the Merlot from 2017 from Scootney Flats Vineyard.
Kathy does a great job with like stashing back some wines for Reserve Cru. You know, she puts these crazy notes on the boxes like don't you dare touch, and so she's always thinking about what are the wines that maybe were her favorites, or maybe she's heard from our club members as they are enjoying those wines how much they love the wines, and so for her, that's a heads up of, you know what, let me pull back some of these wines, hang on to them for a couple years, 2, 3, 4 years, and see when they might be a fit to go into the case club, when they make sense. So thanks to Kathy for that one. And the last 2 wines that are in this club or in this case would be the Carmenere and the Syrah. So Carmenere is always a fan favorite. We've been making it for 3 vintages now. 3 vintages now? Mm-hmm. 3 vintages now. It's a wine that's, I think, is very different from anything we have on the tasting bar. It still has the beautiful fruit driven characteristics that you know from Red Mountain wines. Great tannin structure, good mouthfeel, good balance, great weight on the palate, beautiful finish. So it has all those characteristics that we know and love when it comes to Red Mountain wines. But because it has this beautiful jalapeno on the palate, I think that makes it so different from any of the wines that we offer, and I think it's a standout. So our club members love it. Carmenere is a club exclusive wine. It has not been released in the tasting room yet, and so we thought it'd be perfect for this case. And then finally, we have our 2020 Sashay Syrah. I love making this wine. It's the only Rhone varietal we have in our portfolio. We don't make a whole lot of it. So this wine is technically, by the time you get it, will be a library wine. We're on our last few bottles of it in the tasting room, but we thought since it's been a rock star in the tasting room and we're listening to our fans on what they love, we wanted to pull some back to go into this case. So there's 1 bottle of the 2020 Sashay Syrah in the fall case. So this makes it up. I think that we have a case that tells a story. We have our first ever EstateWine partnered with our Punctual. Both of those wines are Cab Franc, Cab Sauv. We have an exclusive Cabernet Sauvignon, the Obelisco Cab. We have 2 Merlots, giving you the opportunity to taste something old, something new. And then we have the wines that are a little more on the bolder, spicier side, which would be the Carmenere and the Sashay Syrah. So hopefully you enjoy this case we put together for you. These are wines that are beautiful to enjoy now. They will age really, really well. So if you want to hang tight and enjoy them in the next few years, then that's a really cool thing for you to do. Your next case will be ready for you in the spring. But until then, enjoy these wines. And from Greg, myself, Kathy, and the rest of the team, we just wish you the very best. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.